I asked Ifa directly what something I had applied for, would I get it or would I be successful with it? And Ifa said yes. And every time I applied for it, it said no. I was like, wait a minute. Fast forward, it came through this year. But the journey before then, all the divinations before then, reinforcing my faith.
Okay.
I can remember so many different divinations, like, wow, for lack of another word, sort of blew my mind.
Ekabo, and welcome to another episode of Talking Ifa with me, Babalawo Olasewe. I have the great pleasure today on this next episode of Ifa Divination Stories of having a very esteemed Babalawo here, Babalawo Olasewe, Orisha Bemi, and I've known him for decades now.
Yeah. Your kids were babies.
Yeah. So we're going to go through some of his stories today. So sit back and enjoy. So let's talk. Greetings. I'm Babalawo Olasewe. I was initiated as a priest of Ifa and Obatala in Nigeria in 2006. And I've been practicing the Ifa Orisha religion for over 30 years now. My mission is simple: to help those who are new to the religion or lost in the religion. So if that's you, then buckle up and join me. This is Talking Ifa. So, first of all, we came up together in the same Ile.
We did.
And we're still together in another one.
We are. Still on this journey.
Still on this journey. Yeah, we were in the first house or Ile that was in Atlanta, Ile Beji, and I went there in 1989. I don't remember what year you went.
I got there in 92, 93.
Okay.
Because I started out with one of the other elders that helped started that Ile.
Right.
And when he transitioned, that's when I came on board and met you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we've been there with the beginning of all these houses that we have now in Atlanta.
Atlanta's the mecca for Ifa.
I don't even know. I couldn't even count all of them now, but back then that was the first one. So we came today to kind of get your journey. So we want to start out first about your history and what brought you into Ifa and, in the beginning and that kind of stuff.
Okay. My journey with Ifa began sort of interesting. While I was in the military, and a good friend of mine said he was a dancer. And in my mind, I'm thinking, modern dance, all of that, because how he was built, like, no way you're a dancer. That's what I said in my head. Fast forward, relocated to Atlanta. Once I got out, he was here. He and his wife relocated here. And he said, hey, we're doing a dance rehearsal. Come check us out. Got there, it was drumming. It was West African dance. And, met him, some other brothers, some other sisters. And they were studying Ifa Orisha culture. And that was my first introduction to the culture. I started performing with them. And during that time in Atlanta, it was like in the late 80s, Atlanta was a mecca for a lot of West African dance group.
Okay.
The National Black Arts Festival was here and everything was big.
Okay.
And so that was how I got introduced into the Ifa Orisha culture, the Yoruba religion. And I can also remember my very first divination, I had in 1991. And I was excited, it was fascinating. And I think out of everything from that divination that I remembered that really got me hooked is when I was told I needed to drink more water. And the reason why is because I was driving to New York from Atlanta, exhausted. And the elder that I was dealing with at the time he didn't know I drove. He thought I flew. So when he told me that I was really dehydrated, all of that from the drive, I was like, wow, he had no idea I was feeling this way. So it's sort of, I was young.
Right.
It's sort of like, oh, it must be something to this. So that
Okay.
was my introduction to divination.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then what was your journey to initiation and that sort of thing?
Wow. It was from my first introduction, which was 91. I got initiated in 1999 to the cult of Obatala. I'm a priest of Obatala. But the journey before then, all the divinations before then, sort of kept, reinforcing my faith.
Okay.
I can remember so many different divinations that, like, wow, for lack of another word, sort of blew my mind. Mm-hmm. I can remember one divination, and I may skip around, I had, and it was prior to being initiated to Obatala. And in the divination, I was told that I needed to do an offering for my father. Mm. And it was quite, it was a pretty large ebo. It was feeding, I had to give an offering to the Orisha Ogun. Mm. And it was a goat. Mm. And in my mind, I have to, why am I doing this for my father? It's like he doesn't know anything about this culture, and it was not an easy ebo.
Right.
So, of course, I complied. Maybe a year later or a year and a half later, found out that he had prostate cancer. Mm. And I believe by doing that ebo with Ogun, they discovered it. He just happened to, be in for a regular checkup and a prostate exam, and they discovered that it was, had he waited any longer, no telling, it may have metastasized. Mm. So I said, that in itself, a lot of times we do divination and we think it's about us, right. And it may be about a loved one. Mm-hmm. And I in my opinion, I believe that helped save him.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's actually, one of my main ones is similar with my father.
Yeah.
And like you said, you go for divination for one thing, and then Ifa tells you something else, and you said, what does that got to do with what I came for?
Exactly.
But then you find out later, like with my father, said he was going to have a heart attack or stroke, and he had it 1 week later.
Right.
For divination. So yeah. And I was going about a job. It had nothing to do with.
Exactly. And and I think I try to tell people a lot of times is that it's a guide. Divination is a guide, and I use it as a guide. I don't, if I have to do something that's, in my opinion, sort of major or a major decision, I use Ifa divination as a guide, not just everyday, day-to-day stuff. Another example, and I have so many of them, another example of where, Ifa gave me some sound advice when I was in the market for a house. Mm-hmm. And, fortunately for me, the realtor that was working with me understood the Yoruba religion. That I expressed to him that any house that I like, I need to get divination on it.
Right.
There were, at the time there was one house I fell in love with, and went for divination. I said, hey, this is the house that I want. My elder at the time was reading it, and the advice that was given to me is like, that's not a good move for you. And I was like, well, what if we give this or give that or give this, go to give, and it's like, no, it's still not a good decision for you. And I listened, I complied. And in hindsight, years later, when I drive by that neighborhood now, it's like, wow.
Oh, really?
It's crime-ridden.
Wow.
And the house that I had wanted, it looks like it, it was one of those decisions where I'm glad I listened.
Right.
And the house that did read well, where I'm at now, it's like unbelievable. I can do anything there. The neighbors are great. So it's always good to consult Ifa, other Orisha for divination if you're making a decision on something, because it could guide. It's a guide.
Right,
It's
definitely.
a guide. It's a definite good guide. Another example, years ago, this may have been in '96 somewhere, and I went to Ifa for divination with my elders, and because I wasn't doing divinations at the time, and I asked Ifa directly what something I had applied for, would I get it or would I be successful with it? And Ifa said yes. And every time I applied for it, it said no. I was like, wait a minute. Fast forward, it came through this year.
Wow.
It came through this year, 2025.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in a lot of my divinations, we hear, you're going to have long life and I look at that scenario as adding to my long life.
Oh, definitely.
In your older age, it's something that's like, wow, this could benefit me now. So
Oh, wow.
sometimes divination, it may happen when you're ready for it.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of times I think when we do get divinations, we think that it's gonna, be magic,
Right.
and a lot of times it's not. We've been told it works like magic, but it's not. There have been scenarios where, it's like, wow, I just did this divination, and, why is this happening?
Right.
And so I believe that sometimes what divination does, or what the guidance we get in the offering we do, sometimes may speed things up so we get on the other side of it.
Okay.
It may not sometimes stop it,
Right.
but it allows you to get through it quicker. And sometimes it may. Or sometimes it may lessen the effect of it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So in terms of negative things, a lot of times people think, like you said, it should stop it. It may not stop it, but it may get you on the other side quicker, or it may lessen it. Yeah, so I've seen that happen too.
Yeah.
Or somebody survive, or they live longer than they would have in any other case.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think with the guidance that we get from, Ifa Orisha, it's invaluable.
Definitely.
you
Definitely.
There's a situation, this may have been back in 2003, 2002, before I had bought my house. And I was living in an apartment, and my mom and one of my niece, she was very young, I think probably in elementary school at the time. Just the two of them wanted to come to Atlanta to visit me for Thanksgiving. I think my mom was still grieving. She had just lost her husband, my stepdad, maybe a few years before that. And, she wasn't gonna fly. And so I said, well, it's going to be difficult for me to come get you and bring you back to Atlanta. So she said, they'll take Greyhound. They caught Greyhound from Charleston, Baltimore, here to Atlanta. She came for the weekend. We had a great time, went out to, we didn't cook, we just went out to a very nice Thanksgiving buffet. And the whole weekend was great. Let me back up. Prior to her coming, I did do divination, just so that, the trip would be great for her, the bus, for all of us to have a good weekend, and I knew she was complaining about, bills piling up and, all of that. So she came, she had a good time. They went back, and, I don't remember what the offering was or anything, but it was primarily a divination for me, but she was included in it. So when she got back to Charleston, and she called me, and she was very excited. I was sort of nervous. It was like, oh, what happened now? Because she had just left. And, she doesn't know anything about the Ifa religion, the Yoruba religion. They all came up for my initiation to Obatala, and that was their introduction. They'd been to some of the bimbes. And she said to me, and this is her how she phrased it, those people in your room, because I had a room for my orishas, she said, those things in your room gave me good luck. She said, I bought a $1 scratch off, and won $10,000.
Wow.
You know, so for me and for her, you know, that whole weekend, you know, it was like some portal was open whenever I did the divination, whenever I did the the offering. You know, I'm not telling anyone to go out there and buy a lottery ticket, but part of that, Ifa can bring prosperity in our life in different forms.
Right.
And for her, that prosperity, that prosperous weekend, you know, she went back home feeling really good about herself, and she won some money.
Wow.
You know, because she was really she was stressing out about a lot of stuff. So did the divination and the elbow I did cause that? I don't know.
Right.
But I'm, you know, I believe it did.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, you know, go spend your paycheck on a lottery ticket, but those are some of the things that can happen.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, you know.
Wow. Yeah, because how did she feel later? Did she start saying she wanted to?
No, she wasn't leaving Jesus.
Oh, okay. Not that far.
Not that, but, you know, I say that because my family, you know, they've always respect what I do. They've always respected that. So yeah, no, it's just, you know, if that's what you do, then we happy for you. Yeah, but no, she was like, wow, you know, whatever you're doing is working. That was her response. That was what she, you know, her take on it.
Right.
You know, it's working.
Right.
You know, and for her not to know anything about, you know, Ifa Orisha, and for her to have that experience, and for her to say whatever it's going on here, it's working.
Right.
You know, because she reaped the benefit of it. My father reaped the benefit of it.
Definitely.
I remember when I was getting initiated to Abatala, and in the middle of the ceremony, they stopped and said, you need to call your dad and ask for his blessings before we can move any further. And I'm sitting there, it's like, how am I going to call this man and say, this is what I'm doing, and I need you, you know, I was trying to explain to him what it is, and I need you to pray for me. And I called, you know, and he said, whatever you're doing, I believe it, and I believe in you. You know, and so, and that's just based on years of examples of stuff I've done and show them how it worked in my life. And and they have, because I told him about what I had to do, you know, when he found that he had prostate cancer. And he was like, I thank you. He didn't, and, you know, they still got their Jesus.
Right.
But he said, I thank you.
Right.
Yeah. And so they take on it has always been, whatever it is, it's working.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the bottom line in this culture is it works for people or they wouldn't be in it.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
They come back to it.
Yeah.
And then you got initiated to Ifa when?
I got initiated to Ifa in 2012. Yeah, so I've been, you know, continuing on this journey.
Okay.
Since then, and you know, I'm still pretty, you know, grounded in it.
Right.
You know, there's no turnaround.
Right.
There's no, you know, getting rid of nothing, and you know, it still works for me, and I'm still pretty happy with it.
So when did that happen? When did it come to a point where you knew, okay, I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. I'm not doing anything else?
From day one.
Day one?
From day one.
Okay.
And, you know, and to back up a little bit, I think what solidified it for me is during that time, I don't even remember, there was, I can call some names. There was a church here called, and it's still here, Hillside on Cascade. And at the time, the minister was Dr. Barbara King. Right. Yeah, and I was a member of the church, but she was so all-inclusive of so many things.
Right, she was.
And you know, and in that organization, I met other Orisha people. Okay. You know, but since then I've transitioned more into it. But from day one, I was like, wow, this is it. Okay. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I went for a few events at her church. Is she still around?
She passed a few years ago. She passed a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
That was interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, there are countless stories of divination and how it manifested and how it unfolded. But one thing I do like to say, though, is sometimes, people get divination and think that it's going to right or wrong when they're doing something extremely unethical.
Right. Right.
Not saying that it doesn't happen, but I think sometimes, we have the wrong mindset that, I'm going to be able to just to, do something that's crazy or go against the law of the land. I believe that Orisha doesn't go against the law of the land, in my opinion, because, we always talk about we are a culture of good character.
Right.
And part of having good character is, whether you agree or disagree, we still have to obey the law of the land.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And even more, we have to obey the laws of Iwa Puele, of good character, if we want this Ifa work to work for you.
Yeah.
Because, there's people, right, and because for a while in Atlanta, I don't know if it's still that way, police would look at you funny with the beads or laces because there's so many gang people that started wearing them in different colors.
I don't know if that has shifted. I can remember some years ago, this young man, and he's still in the culture, and I remember at the time he was working he was working in one of the jail. And he would tell me that when he went to work, he had to take his E-day off because, the other staff and his supervisors thought that it was a sign of being in a gang. So I don't know if that has shifted. Unfortunately, that's something that, hopefully as we move forward in this religion, it can be corrected.
Right.
Yeah. But, divination is crucial. In our day-to-day movement, our day-to-day life. And part of divination is sometimes people go to divination and they want Ifa to make every single decisions for them.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't work like that, I go for divination, of course, annually or whenever, but if something is coming up and I need guidance, if I have made, if for an example, if I'm trying to decide, on something, my approach would be, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've decided that I want to do. And I'll go for divination to get a guide.
Right.
It may say, it may say, yeah, but do this offering. Or yes, but be mindful of this may happen. There are occasions, there have been times where it's like, I don't know, you may want to rethink that.
Right.
But I don't go to Ifa for divination and saying or asking, should I do this? I try, for me, I try to take a different approach. It's like, I try to frame the question in a way that I can get a very sound answer or sound response with good guidance. So, yeah.
Right, to guide you versus telling you what to do in that.
Right, like, should I go to the supermarket today? But we're laughing, but people do that.
Yeah.
People, or should I do this? And we've been told, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Because you don't know what the response is going to be. So I always try to ask my question or format my question in a way that gives me advice.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of also, would you say when a client comes for divination, they should have something they're trying to do or accomplish and they want to get guidance on that versus just sitting in front of Ifa and saying, okay, tell me about my life and myself.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And that happens. That happens. It happens all the time. And a lot of times, we have to redirect the questions they're asking or what they think they came for.
Right.
Because like again, people think Ifa is going to be the magic wand that's going to correct their life. And a lot of times, you have to make that correction in the things that you're doing.
Right.
And again, Ifa is just a guide. It helps you with your trajectory.
Right.
And a lot of times, I try to remind people that what Ifa tells me doesn't always hold for you, even though it may be the same Odu.
Right.
So we cannot use your circumstance out of a divination. It's like, well, he got that Odu. Well, it applies to me as well. So we have to be mindful of that as well.
Okay.
Ifa, again, it gives you insight into things.
Right.
Guidance as to how to maneuver, how to move forward. Yeah, I think, I think the biggest thing that we, as a community, should try to work on is, steer people away from thinking that you go to Ifa for divination or you go to Orisha for divination, other Orishas for divination, and it's going to completely fix your life.
Right.
It's going to bring you a house or bring you a car. It may, but, but it's again, it's to give you some guidance, give you some clarity, and hopefully, keep us from the pitfall. Yeah.
So kind of like what Babawande's book, Ifa, Mend the Broken World.
Ifa will mend our broken world.
So mend would be more of helping you to fix it.
Yes.
A stitch here, a stitch there, but it's not saying it's going to totally fix it.
Right, exactly. And it doesn't mean that things won't happen.
Right.
It just means that it'll allow you to navigate through.
Right.
For me, just on a day-to-day basis, before I leave my house, I go to my Orishas and I throw an obi. Not for a divination, I just give, it's an offering, and my prayer is that let everything I do today be Ire.
Right.
And I throw. And it doesn't mean stuff doesn't happen. It just means if it happens, hopefully I can navigate through it, or hopefully the impact won't be that severe. But, my form of going through the day, like the Christians would say, being prayed up. Yeah.
So, speaking of that, so what advice would you give people that want to transition to this religion coming from Christianity or some or family and they're kind of lost?
Yeah. And I know we all say this, a lot of people, you have to find the right person or the right group of people to work with.
Right.
And it's not a rush. And I know we're in a time where everybody wants to wear E-days and Elekes and, all that wonderful stuff. You have to find the right people. Take your time, study. It's just like any other culture or any other religion. There's no end point. It's just it's a lifelong journey if this is what you choose. And I know it's very nouveau riche for for Atlanta, because I've heard people call Atlanta the new Mecca for Ifa Orisha. But it's a process.
Oh yeah.
It's a process. There's no rushing in this. Take your time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The right people is very important because there's a lot of, should I say, derivative type stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And find what denomination of the culture works for you.
Right.
Because, we all don't fit in the same denomination. So find, study and find which one works best for you and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thank you. Was you going to say something?
I wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay.
What do you feel about, as far as you say, find the right people, but could you expound on that? Because a lot of people watching this, he wants to go towards people who are new. So a lot of people always say, find the right people, but what are some of the signs or the red flags to know, oh, maybe I'm not with the right people?
Well, that's a good question. How do you find someone? How do you find the right people? If you hear of any bimbes, which is a celebration for the Orisha, go to one of them. Ask questions, talk to people that are there, But you also have to listen to your intuition, and you also have to understand if you feel uncomfortable with something, it's not a fit for you. You should never feel uncomfortable, and you should never feel that you're being abused emotionally or financially. Yeah. And just don't tolerate anything that feels that feels like it's going against who you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Was that a good response?
Good. Yeah. If you have any other, you can direct him to his last pitch, or if he has anything coming up, make sure he does it with his camera.
I don't have anything coming up. What I got coming up? Y'all the producers here.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed talking to you today. You have a lot of wisdom and great.
Well, I think we both have a lot of wisdom. We've been in this together.
Yeah.
We've been on this journey for a very long time.
Very long time.
Like I said, I watch your kids from the time they were in the womb.
Right.
So yeah, we've been on this. We've seen a lot of people come and go.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen how it has shifted in Atlanta, and how it's continuing to shift. And I think what we've tried to do is just stay grounded,
Right.
and how we were taught, and staying grounded and just not being swayed by the newest,
Right.
energy that tends to come around.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank everybody for joining this episode of Talking Ifa with me, Babalawo Olasewe, and Babalawo Olasewe.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to watching more of your podcast.
And coming again and joining again in the future, talking about another topic.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Please subscribe and check out my planner, my 2026 Ifa planner and calendar. I'll have it in the information at the bottom of the video. And if you want to contact me, and if you have any questions or topics you want me to cover, let me know. Ireo Odabo.
Odabo.